Welcome to Darshan America, folks. We come to you from Washington, D.C. My name is Ramesh Butani.
And I'm Aastha Verma. Well, Ramesh, tell me, did you get a chance to watch the debate on Saturday night?
No, I'm sorry. I didn't watch it. I was a little busy, yes.
Well, you had more important things to do.
That's right.
Well, folks, for those of you that did watch the debate on Saturday night, I'm sure you were wondering, why would you have a debate on a Saturday night? It's almost like assuming the rest of us don't have plans. But if you did watch, there was actually a lot of positive feedback about this particular debate format. You know, we're so used to seeing these debates with 10 candidates up there, each gets 2 minutes to respond, and it's just, you don't get that personal feeling with these. But on Saturday night, the debate was a little bit different. It only had 6 people. Of course, Herman Cain is gone.
Yes.
John Huntsman wasn't there. So you had a much smaller pack of 6, and you had much more of a free-form format where these candidates could respond with more time, more detail, and go after each other.
Yeah.
And that was the big question, was everyone going to go after Newt Gingrich? Because he is now leading solidly in the polls.
Yes.
And people wanted to see some tussle between Mitt Romney and Newt Gingrich. But guess what? The tussle actually occurred between Rick Perry and Mitt Romney.
Ah.
I don't know if you caught this, but of course, Mitt Romney made probably a very silly comment about, a bet that he wanted to place with Rick Perry about facts relating to his book.
Yeah.
And of course, the bet he placed was a $10,000 bet, which made everybody raise an eyebrow and say, well, you could bet $1 million or bet $1, but what's this 10,000, right? And so unfortunately now Romney is really facing a lot of heat as a result of this comment, because once again it paints him as being elitist, someone who's just clearly out of touch with what's happening with the rest of the world and the rest of the country.
Like John Kerry.
Yeah, exactly. They made some comparisons over the weekend in all the analysis with John Kerry. Folks, if you remember, John Kerry had a cheesesteak, I think it was, and what did he put on the cheesesteak? Instead of putting on American cheese like the rest of us, he put on Swiss cheese. And all the rest of us went, wait, what? Is he really in touch with America? And the same thing happened with Romney. But they have been trying for quite some time now to humanize Romney. Do you remember Al Gore had this issue? Al Gore was so wooden, people just could not connect with Al Gore. And Mitt Romney suffers from some of the same things. So guess what? His campaign people have told him to actually be less wooden during these debates. So as you watched Saturday night's debate, or as you watch future debates, you should be on the lookout for Romney to be much more personal. How does he do this? He's using his hands a lot more during these debates. And instead of just turning his head, he turns his whole body to talk to the person, to create that one-on-one connection with his audience or with the speaker, implying that he's not just a wooden robot, he's actually human. But it didn't help him. Unfortunately, during the debate, Newt Gingrich still came out on top, was still every bit as feisty as he's always been, and now he's leading by double digits in some of these polls.
But I don't understand it, why he's not liked. Let's face it, folks. Great family pedigree, great education, been a fantastic business person, has been a governor, has the experience. Why don't people like him?
I think for a couple of reasons. One, his flip-flopping has not helped him. Mitt Romney, if you look at his record, he's changed positions many times now.
Well, we all do that. We all, you live long enough, you'll change your position many times.
I agree with that. I think what's happening here is that you have a Republican Party that's very fractured, and the part of the party that is the most involved and is the most enthusiastic is on the far right.
Yeah.
And they just do not connect with Romney at all. They're looking for a very staunchly conservative candidate. Mitt Romney is sort of like middle of the pack. What I'm surprised by is that these independents really haven't chimed in behind Romney, and I think the independents is where Romney has the greatest chance of success.
They should know he has got 5 kids, a solid marriage, which is what they look for. He doesn't believe in abortion and all of that. Those are red meat issues for the conservatives. But at the same time, I don't understand it. Why don't they like Mitt Romney?
I think it's a personality thing. At the end, you talk about the difference between Bill Clinton and George Bush and John Kerry, and some people just have charm. In this case,
I think Bill Clinton spoiled it for him. He's the one with affairs and those blue dress right in the Oval Office. And that kind of a thing, everybody seems to forgive. So I think that Newt Gingrich's 3 weddings will be forgiven.
You know, there was a comment made somewhere along the way during this debate that if you cheat on your wife, then you're going to cheat on your business partner, and you're also going to cheat then the public on what your true intentions are, implying that, you know, of course, Newt Gingrich with his 3 marriages is somehow not always going to be fair to the American public or even to the ventures he's been involved with. I think that's kind of a below-the-belt blow, but on the other hand, it makes you sit back and wonder. So I think you're right. Bill Clinton's charm got him past many things, and to some degree he was already in office, so people had to forgive him for some of these excursions outside of his political realm.
But you know, the ones who did not forgive him were the unions. They really did not fare well under his administration, so they took out on Hillary Rodham Clinton. And they went with Barack Obama. Barack Obama, who had a least experience of them all. I just cannot even, you know, you go back and you say, how did he get elected? I mean, look at Hillary Rodham Clinton. What a solid leader she is.
Well, there are many who would say, looking back over the last 4 years in President Obama's first campaign, there are many people who've wondered what it would have been like had Hillary Clinton won the election. And rightly so, because they were so at parity with one another, and certainly she was a very strong debater and strong candidate. You know, the funny thing here is, if Mitt Romney becomes the candidate from the Republican Party, it could be a very boring set of debates between President Obama and presidential candidate Mitt Romney. On the other hand, if Newt Gingrich is the candidate, then I think you could have a little bit of sizzle.
I saw some numbers where he beats Barack Obama in some of the states. They said Newt is running higher than President Obama.
Well, I'll tell you what, he's definitely running higher than Mitt Romney. Let me share these numbers with you. In Iowa, which is where the first caucus will be, Gingrich is leading Romney by 13%, 33% to 20%. I mean, those are double-digit numbers. Here are some more numbers. South Carolina, Gingrich is up 43% to Romney's 20%. That's 23% of a difference. And in Florida, Gingrich is up 48% to Romney's 25%. I mean, these are substantial numbers. They're double-digit numbers, and people are starting to wonder if Romney can come back. The only thing that could sink Newt Gingrich right now is Newt Gingrich, because he has a tendency to stick his foot in his mouth, and we haven't yet seen all the skeletons come out, all the baggage that we know lies under Newt Romney.
Democrats are working on it. You know.
I think maybe they're saving it for if and when he becomes a presidential candidate. But I think this stands to be very, very interesting the next couple of months, what happens between these two candidates, and then what President Obama has to do to adjust his side of the campaign to meet the candidate that will be selected.
But, you know, it's a very fast-moving campaign. We still have got, after that story was done, you still have 3 weeks. I mean, imagine, world could change in 3 weeks.
We could have Ron Paul.
By the way, I'm still betting Huntsman will be in there. If not as a presidential candidate, at least as a vice presidential candidate.
I think John Huntsman is done. I mean, I'm not saying he's completely done in politics. It could be that 4 years from now he reemerges and is a much stronger candidate. I think he was feeling the waters this time, and to some degree he just never got going. He just never found his momentum.
So you're totally suggesting by that comment that somehow President Obama will win this time?
I think that if we're looking at Mitt Romney or Newt Gingrich, President Obama has a solid chance either way, because Mitt Romney is not getting the traction, and because Newt Gingrich has so many skeletons in his closet.
No, I don't agree with you. You know, I mean, I saw 60 Minutes the next day, and there was President Obama. He didn't say anything that inspired me. You know, he's not a problem solver because he's so focused on the first 49%. And he's really focused on the unions. It's so sad to see President Obama just blowing everything away for one constituency that brought him in against Hillary Rodham Clinton in the first election. So the second election, he's still tied to them. He should do what Bill Clinton did. Cut the ties, you know.
I think that
come up with some big solutions.
President Obama's playing it safe. He's waiting to see exactly what's going to happen with the Republican Party. He doesn't want to put anything out there for which he will get criticized. He wants the attention to stay on the Republican pack for now until the real candidate emerges, and then I think you'll see some more fight come from the president.
That's why you see me whining and screaming is because these candidates do nothing but it's all about the election. It's all about them. It's nothing about us.
Actually, that I will agree with you. Unfortunately, this means all the legislation that is now stuck in Congress has been stuck without any real attention being paid to it. And I do think we become way too preoccupied with the election for far too long. And the agenda, the progressive agenda we want to set out for this country suffers.
But you know, they're not the only ones, folks. Politics is not the only place. It's happening in the business world, the banking world in particular. You know, MF Global went belly up on October 31st. The CEO, Karzai, comes in front of the Senate committee that's investigating. He says,